Are you looking for a resource to discuss all topics air conditioning? Well, you're in the right space. Join the Rawson boys as they discuss the hot topics and the cold hard facts. This is the Air Conditioning Podcast.
G'day guys, and welcome to another episode of the Air Conditioning Podcast, where we talk about all things air conditioning, the hot topics, and the whole cold hard facts. How are you today?
I'm not too bad, and you?
Not too bad.
Here we are again.
It's been cold, hasn't it?
It's been chilly. 3 degrees, I think, this morning.
Yeah. Yesterday I had ice on the windscreen again, which was... I got the hose out, got rid of it, got in the car, and it's frozen again.
Yeah. Well, the phones are ringing.
They are.
Everyone needs a bit of heating at the moment.
Yeah,
so that's
what we rely on this time of year, isn't it?
Exactly right.
These nice, warm 17, 18 degree days. So that's been good. But I just thought I'd do a bit of an update on the whole COVID-19 scenario, guys. Things have turned a bit grim, haven't they, really?
In Victoria, it's not good at all.
Not good. Now New South Wales is concerned as well. So, in actual fact, the 6-month anniversary, would you believe, of the World Health Organisation declared COVID-19 a public health emergency. So, 6 months, it's flown.
Hopefully we're sort of getting towards the tail end of it.
You
would think so.
Bit of a concern, though. To date, in fact, this was as of yesterday, 14,935 total cases in Australia. 9,311 cases have recovered, 167 deaths, unfortunately. Victoria has seen in the last 48 hours some of their worst days, 532 cases there. And 4,714 active cases.
16.4 million in the world.
It's unbelievable, isn't it? Can't believe that. New South Wales have been caught out as well with some cluster outbreaks there. Some of those relating to those nursing homes, which is tragic. But on a brighter note, 9.4 million people have recovered. So a timely reminder just to say, wash your hands, sanitise, practice your social distancing, and if you have any symptoms, Brad, stay the hell home.
Stay home, yeah.
Right? Yeah.
And hopefully we can reduce the second wave as much as possible.
Yeah. And the footy's been interesting.
Well, Crows lost by 4 points the other night, so I wasn't happy about that. Was it 4 or 3? I don't know.
It was one of the closest losers.
Yeah.
Yeah, losing.
And then at the Dockers game, there was the lowest score for like the last 50 years
they got
or something.
16 points or something.
Yep.
So some funny old things happening there too, but I'm not enthralled with the footy. But yeah.
And everyone in Melbourne, wear a mask. Don't be an anti-masker.
Yes.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Bunning stuff popping up on social media. It's just ridiculous.
Well,
anyways,
we should get on with the show.
Here we go. All right. So, guys, we've got a special guest on the line today from the Climate Control News. They're Australia's only independent publication servicing the climate control industry. They play an integral role in covering all the issues affecting the HVAC&R sector. CCN are passionate and committed to keeping their audience informed and providing them with the tools and info needed to excel in our growing sector. So without further ado, I would like to introduce the editor of CCN, and that's Sandra Rossi. Sandra, welcome to the show.
Hi guys, thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
We appreciate your time.
It's a pleasure.
And
it's a pleasure. It's a great podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Very nice of you. And now you're based in New South Wales, is that right, Sandra?
Yeah, in Sydney, in the heart of it all.
So you're seeing, just going back to those spikes, you're seeing some clusters there, and how are you coping with all that?
Oh, it's a bit scary. I'm still working from home.
Oh, you are?
Although, because we're a multimedia company, it means I'm making videos wherever I can for our video news updates and doing print from home, online, sort of on the go. It's not easy. I try and get in the office about once a week.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for those that haven't seen or read the climate control news, I'm just holding up a copy of that at the moment. Can you just sort of tell everyone or our audience about CCN?
Sure.
And how it all sort of came about?
Sure. CCN's been around for a long time. I've been editor for about 7 years. It was around for, I think, a good decade, easy, before I came on board. There's been a number of editors. But basically, Australia didn't have a media company doing HVAC&R. I think you've interviewed ERA, the industry body, which is a great body representing engineers and representing the industry to government. They do a great job. They put out a magazine, a number of different directories and publications, and they do conferences, all that stuff. But that's an industry body, so they have their own agenda, their own viewpoint. It's not an independent news service. So CCN's the only sort of media company that's actually putting out a magazine. We put out an online website. We're on social media. We also do a conference. And I think so it makes it very different in that respect. We try to keep it independent, down the middle, cover all sides of the story. And that's sometimes interesting because there's a lot of passionate people in this industry that have passionate views, and they let me know too.
Yeah, I'm sure they do.
Very much. How did you personally become involved, Sandra?
Well, this is interesting because I'm first and foremost a journo. So I worked on newspapers, did my cadetship, eventually got into magazines. So I've covered all different areas. I did IT for a while, covering the IBMs, Microsofts of the world. That was great. Did finance, did politics. And then when I got into this game, the funny thing is when I first applied for Climate Control News, I thought it was about greenhouse gases. I didn't realise it was about HVAC&R until I went to the interview. So I was a baby. So when I started, I had to meet everyone, learn as much as I could about the industry, and it has been a growth spurt, absolutely. Now I feel very comfortable talking HVAC&R, but the first year wasn't easy.
Yeah, I bet.
But with a media company, the idea is applying your journalist skills to any area, because when you're a cadet, you cover courts, you cover police rounds. That's the idea, and you present the information so that it's simple, easy to read, everyone can understand it. And that's the other thing too about CCN. I think it's an easy read. It's not too technical, because this is an area that can get very technical.
Definitely.
I don't know, on Facebook I read some of the technician groups, and they're always making jokes about heat exchangers or condensers or whatever, which most people wouldn't think about. And I've always thought this industry is amazing because it's so invisible to a degree, and it touches every area of our life, from pharmaceuticals to the cold chain to cooling, just covers so many areas. And it just amazes me that because it's so broad, it kind of gets dispersed somehow and doesn't maintain the visibility it should have.
Yeah, that's correct.
It's I don't know, it's difficult to explain.
And as you said, as a journo, you'd have to adapt to whatever the story is and what have you. How technical did you have to go for that training initially to get things moving?
Well, I obviously don't have to be a technician on the job, but I need to learn some of the terms, know the basics, and the people I talk to, I don't have to be the expert. I talk to the experts, and I get the information from them. I ask them, tell me what is happening. I can identify what's news and what's not, and then I put it into simple language. But they're the experts. I don't have to be too much of an expert. I just have to understand what they're saying.
Yeah, and to tell the story.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. And how often, just moving away from that, how often are the publications coming out, Sandra?
Well, the magazine's monthly.
Yeah.
the website's daily, and it does get updated every day. Social media gets updated every day. Our conference is once a year, and we've got a lot of other initiatives that we do too. Like, it's impossible to work for cover an industry and not get a bit passionate about it. Like, there's been a skill shortage in this industry for so long. I was doing research on it, and I got all the way back to 2007. There was still a skill shortage back then. So I thought, well, let's come up with an initiative we called it Next Gen, where we try and get as many apprentices on board, get them to tell their story in their local area. We'll select a top 20 under 25. This is the first year we've done it, and we've just put it together. And it's been fantastic, just reaching out to all the technicians. And when you talk to them and hear their story, some of the interesting things that I've heard is like, a lot of them meant to be sparkies. They went to the job was taken, and they said, well, you can become a rack technician or a HVAC technician. How do you like to do that? I'll give it a try. And they're like, I'm so glad, this is heaps better. There's a lot more thinking involved. It's much more interesting. There's a lot more variety. We do a bit of electrical, a bit of plumbing, a bit of everything. Yeah, so they're so glad that happened. And then I've met other technicians who started out as sparkies and then changed over. Which is interesting.
So many different.
Didn't even know about the truck.
Yeah, there's so many different ways people do enter the industry. Anything from they just know someone that works in the industry already, or they've gone straight from school. Yeah,
because at school, a lot of them said we didn't even know it existed. Yeah. But that's such a common one. They either meet someone, or it's a mate's dad, or something like that.
Yeah.
And that was a prime example of what happened with LJ Refrigeration, wasn't it? He was saying that he rocked up to trade school and thought he was doing the electrical course, and lo and behold, it turned out to be the refrigeration.
Oh, that's so funny.
So
and he stayed in the trade since?
Yeah, they got their own business now. So
based up in Journo and
Oh,
so
testing my memory now.
A few sleeps ago.
Yeah.
So obviously, with a publication like this, Sandra, there's obviously costs associated with printing and
sure,
even your online presence and whatnot. How do you get your funding for that? Is it through sponsorship
for our events? Also, obviously, advertising. The media industry's it's been tough. I mean, another 8 titles closed this week.
Wow.
It's print seems to be dying. But I think the titles that are surviving are general news. People get that all the time on TV, radio. But if you're addressing a specific trade or a specific area, your chance of survival is a lot greater because you become the brand for that industry. People get involved in your title. It's about their job. It's about their livelihood. It's what they're interested in. It's not like sort of general news, if you know what I mean. I think people are more engaged.
Yeah.
I think...
Yeah, the media is going in lots of different directions, isn't it, at the moment?
It sure is. Social media is killing us.
Yeah, that's right. People are, taking in the media in all sorts of different ways to what they used to. It used to be TV or radio or whatever. Now it's podcasts and, a lot of website stuff and all that sort of thing.
I think it's great. I think it's fantastic that you can get your media any way you want.
Exactly, Yeah. Do you have subscribers? Is that the way it works?
Yeah, we do have subscribers.
Mm-hmm.
We've got subscribers to the magazine. We have subscribers online at climatecontrolnews.com.au. We also have given people options. I do a weekly news video, so if you don't want to, you can get your news any way you like. It's up to you.
Yeah. We have watched a few of your bulletins.
Yes.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you.
The last one was a bit of I felt like it was the lockdown edition, which was done in front of a brick wall.
Yeah.
But they'll get better, don't worry.
as
great.
hopefully a podcast does.
Yeah, that's right. And so, Sandra, do you have any sort of stats on who your where your subscribers are coming from? Are they just people sort of?
Sure.
Yeah.
I think it's a lot like your show. There's business owners. You know, the industry's so broad. It's the titles, the job titles are so from, you know, indoor air quality experts to people that work in manufacturing to owning an air conditioning shop, technician to refrigeration engineer, or it's just so broad. So it reflects the industry, our readership, and it's fairly broad as well.
Yeah, and we receive obviously that magazine. We get that. Actually, I don't know how it gets here. Is it delivered or is it dropped off or something?
In the post.
It's just there, so we just pick it up and
there.
read it. So so how does it go out to all people in the industry, Sandra, or how do you?
Yeah, wholesalers, suppliers, everyone. We try to reach everyone.
Can those who are just out and about continuously in a van or whatever, can they subscribe to get a hard copy, or is it just?
Oh, of course they can.
Yeah, they can. Yeah.
Yeah, of course they can. But I think the people that are out and about in the van seem to like their mobile device.
Yeah.
I've noticed. I see them on Facebook and.
Yeah.
And if they wanted a hard copy, how would they go about doing that?
I think they just go to the magazine and there's a subscription, or they simply they send an email to subscriptions@yafa, that's yafa.com.au.
Yeah, cool. And do you think that the hard copy will be around for a while? I mean, we're seeing lots of magazines and newspapers, of course, moving to the online platform. Is that something that's...
it's interesting. I noticed a trend away from print, and they seem to be now coming back. I think people even advertisers like to see their ads in full colour, in print, and I think that trend away is now coming back, which is interesting.
It is interesting, and I must admit, it is nice to sit down with a magazine of some sort and have a flick through it on the weekend, on the Sunday with a coffee or whatever.
Yeah, it's a nice read. Yeah.
Do you guys do you actually advertise the magazine at all through social media and other ways, or?
Yeah, social media. I think on LinkedIn I've got about 13,000 followers, and then there's the CCN page that's on LinkedIn, and and then there's Facebook, and we try to get out there as much as possible.
Yeah.
And I think also the relationships we build with the industry groups, and I think that all helps too.
Do you do anything at ARBS?
Oh, absolutely. We love ARBS.
Yeah.
ARBS is like the highlight of every second year. It's great to be there. It's always exciting. There's a great vibe. We always do a huge feature leading up to ARBS about what's happening. We have the floor plan involved, all the exhibitors, as much information as possible. And then we do a special edition follow-up about all the coverage, because there's so much to cover. I think it takes a couple of issues every time we do the coverage. But I love ARBS. It's great. Cool. It's a great event.
Have you been a journo? Have you got any inside information, anything that you've heard about coming up in ARBS might be particularly special this next year?
Well, the good thing about ARBS is that everyone waits for ARBS to make big announcements. So you always know there's going to be lots of news, lots of product announcements. You get to touch and feel all the toys. And the other thing is the seminar program is always very informative, because it's a great way to get up to speed, new laws, new things that are being introduced, trends in the industry. It's just hard to get to everything, that's all. But we try and cover everything that's any major announcements. We try to make sure we're there for them.
And with so much going on in this industry, from day to day, and you're obviously hearing lots of feedback from people in the industry and working in it. How do you sort of decide which articles to run with? Because there's obviously so many on your site, so many in the magazine. How do you pick and choose?
Yeah, it's probably whatever is going to make the most impact on the industry. You know, like everyone at the moment's debating ventilation because of COVID, talking about air filtration and, you know, humidity is a big topic at the moment. So it's really, you know, it jumps on you really because everyone, you can see what everyone's interested in, what's happening. And when things like this happen, immediately the industry gets together and they'll develop a task force or do something towards healthy building solutions or, you know, the industry generally responds. So then all I do is just cover what's happening. Yeah. Okay, this group's been formed. They're going to address this. This is the latest development. So I'm really just covering what's going on, what the industry's doing. And it's pretty fast moving. There's generally different things happening all the time. I mean, the big thing has been for years refrigerants. You know, the whole greenhouse gas emissions. I'm sure you've heard all about this. And the people that, you know, support natural refrigerants are very passionate, and I understand why they are. So, yeah, there's always issues.
And what do you see as the biggest challenges doing what you're doing there, Sandra?
The biggest challenges in the industry, I think the industry really needs to address its invisibility thing. And I'm hoping that, not because of COVID, it's a bad way to put us in the spotlight, but I'm hoping people get a better understanding of the industry and it gains more visibility so that more kids encourage their kids to, you know, do a trade. We don't have this skill shortage problem. Because this industry is only going to get bigger and bigger. I mean, cooling appliances, what the UN say is the number of cooling appliances is going to quadruple by 2050. The demand is huge. So this industry is just going to get bigger and bigger. I think it's going to get more important, more visibility. You know, because we have a situation at the moment, because it's so broad, there's so many industry groups that there is no single voice.
Yeah,
really.
That's right. Exactly. Need to come together a bit more, don't we, I think?
Yes, we do. We do.
Do you think we need a governing body for the industry? Like a single governing body?
Yeah, but how would we do that? I think they've tried, and there's always a split here and a split there, and there's always been a lot of bodies.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
And everyone has different interests. Like the air conditioning manufacturers have got their interests, and then the wholesalers have their. There's just so many different people.
Yeah. There's definitely lots of different fields within the one field, isn't there?
Yeah. It makes it difficult.
Yeah, for sure.
How do you see? Do you think there's enough being done to protect our industry and those that are fully qualified over those that are just, you know, we often hear about the certificate twos and potential issues around that, sloppy workmanship, etc. What do you think?
Well, I think the Cert 2 issue's finally being addressed. I mean, it wasn't for a while, and Australian Refrigeration Council has, you know, finally got in there, standing up, doing more compliance, doing more checks, doing more of everything, which is great. Because, you know, you have to protect the trade. You can't let it just any dodgy person coming in after, you know, a 2-week course coming in and dragging down the reputation of the trade. I think that's very important. Protecting the trade. I think it's we do need a strong voice, and we do need to protect the trade, and there's still a lot of work to do.
Yeah, I think that's pretty clear when you sort of hear the comments and you see on social media, you know, whenever there's someone puts up a post about a poor install or something like this, you know, there's everyone sort of jumps on it and wants to have their say as such. So there's obviously still that element of frustration out there and what have you.
It's also protecting the end user.
Mm.
Yeah.
Because technicians are very proud of their work, the good ones.
Yeah. And they should be.
Yeah.
They should be. But yeah, I was saying with the natural refrigerants, you know, especially with those now, it can be, you know, for a semi-qualified or unqualified person, it can be putting a lot of lives in danger. So,
Oh, absolutely.
yeah.
You know, it takes real skill to work with these gases, and you know, you couldn't just let any Tom, Dick, or Harry, you know, work with, you know, work in this industry, and because it does put lives at risk.
Definitely.
Most definitely.
And just run us through, Sandra, when you see a particular or hear of a particular story, you think, well, that's worth running. It probably affects a lot of people, or what have you. Walk us through the process on how that all, from start to finish, to actually print.
Okay, so say someone told me that, oh, this is interesting, Sandra. There's a place being built here, and they're going to trial a new unit that using hydrocarbons or something a bit different. You know, it's totally. I'm trying to think of an example of a story, something that's different, and I'll say, okay, well, let's go check it out. I'll speak to the builder. I'll speak to the people involved. Then, of course, I might speak to Fair Trading or Safe Work Australia, because they might say, oh, you know, they need to be careful. You need to comply with these laws. So I try and get both sides of the story.
Yeah.
Basically, and try to present, especially when I do features and we do case studies, if we can get like the energy efficiency results, or a bit of how-to information and knowledge, is great to be able to share that sort of stuff.
So your email line's always open, is it?
Absolutely. I love getting stories from people all the time. I love it.
Yeah.
It's send them to Sandra Rossi at yaffa.com.au.
Perfect. And on your website, on the CCN website, climatecontrolnews.com.au, under the product section there's quite a bit of stuff there from covering all sorts of products. How do you is that sponsors sort of coming to you looking for to promote a new product, or do you sort of are they bringing, you know, you coming across?
I keep it fairly broad. Advertisers will say, oh, we've got a new product coming out, and send me the information. But all those product stories, they come from everywhere around the world, because there's always products being launched. And it's fairly broad. It could be a chiller manufacturer, it could be a new humidifier, it could be a new, you know, it's all different. And it could be maybe building management systems, controls. So it's fairly broad. So I couldn't just rely on advertisers giving me products, because there's just too much to cover.
Yeah.
You know, because I try and cover as much as possible.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's fairly comprehensive, the website too, isn't it? Do you have any?
Topics.
Do
I
you?
could have more topics.
Yeah, I bet. Do you actually have a part in what goes on the website? I mean, obviously you do.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I sit down with. We look at. You know, it grew from the magazine, so we looked at the magazine and the regular features, and we lifted it then on the website, and then over time it's been refined. Obviously, 10 years ago we didn't have a renewable energy section. So we just refine it over time.
And is there any stories on there that you wouldn't run?
Oh boy, it'd have to be if they were dangerous. If they were, we do have editorial guidelines, because I've had stories from people where they've personally attacked other people, and I've said I can't, or they've written opinion pieces and said, you know, they've had some personal fallout with someone in the industry and wanted to write something, and I've said I can't do personal attacks. It's defamatory. I can't do, you know, swearing or racist comment, all the usual stuff. So, it's a bit like that. And if it's anything that's going to put lives at risk or it's not safe, obviously I'm not going to run that.
And is there any, in the time that you've been with CCN, is there any stories that particularly you're most proud of or that stand out for you?
Oh boy, there's so many. It's hard because there's always new things happening, and there has been stories that we've been fortunate when there's been overseas visitors here in Australia, and they've been at a conference, and we've been able to get an exclusive, in particular areas. Those things stand out, of course, and then they get picked up overseas. I love that when that happens, because Australia, we're a long way away from everyone. So, if we can get a bit of be under the spotlight for 2 seconds, hurrah.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, for sure. And on the going back to the website again, you've got the awards page there. How does the selection process happen there for those candidates?
That's very much a great way to engage with our readers, because I love an opportunity to go out, meet readers, see what they're doing. There's so many categories in our awards. We get to recognise excellence. There's no money involved. There's nothing. How do I explain it? It's a lot of work doing the awards, but it's actually so worthwhile. And all the different categories. There's the sustainability, energy savings, Rising Star Award for younger people. So it's a good way to recognise readers and be able to profile them on the website and give them some recognition for the work they do, because they don't always get recognition for the work they do. It's great to be able to do it.
Yeah. How many people does the magazine go out to? Do you know? Do you have any idea?
Oh boy, now because the so many channels, try and add it up. There'd be 13 followers here, another 1,000 there, another 20. Oh my God, well over 20,000.
Yeah, right.
Followers and all the different channels. But it's such a big industry. We could have 100,000 subscribers, I think, if you got everyone, every technician, every shop, every, it's pretty big.
And are there similar publications overseas that you're aware of? Or is this?
There are. There's the ones that I tend to look at that are pretty informative. Ones like in the UK, Cooling Post. I think there's a few in Europe. There's a big one, a refrigeration title in South Africa. And then I know there's a couple, most of them in America that are bigger, the websites, contracting business and a few others. But the ones I look at are probably the ones everyone else looks at too.
Do you communicate with those overseas or not? Not really.
Well, I'm sure that we look at each other's work, because when you're checking overnight, I get in the morning, I check what news has happened in the last 24 hours. I check my Google feed and all my other feeds and things that I subscribe to. So I'm always keeping an eye on what they're doing. I'm sure they do the same.
From what I've seen, their industry is so different to ours. I don't know whether you've noticed that. I don't know, in America.
Oh yeah, everywhere's very different.
It's crazy.
They have different. It is very different. And in so many different areas, I have noticed that.
Yes.
They seem to be more greeny in Europe, like more.
For sure. Not so much in America.
No, they're very conservative in America. In a lot of ways. Yeah.
A lot of the equipment they're using just seems to be, I don't know, very very old technology in the residential market anyway.
It's interesting that the head of the industry group over there, when he came here, he said, "We will never use, this in our hydrocarbons in our split systems. We'll never use this. We'll never use that." And I thought, wow. because in Europe they'll try anything.
Oh,
They're more experimental.
For sure.
I thought it was interesting, but it
It's
is
an observation.
interesting.
Yeah.
Why do you think it's like that in America?
I don't know. I think, as far as I can tell, they're not as into the efficiency side of things. Maybe their cost of power is I would say a lot less than what we're paying over here, and just the governing bodies aren't requiring that they have the high level or high efficiency systems.
I think you're right, absolutely. Yeah, because the standards are pretty high in Europe.
Yeah. I'm sure they still have high efficiency systems, but I think it all comes down to the cost of what the customer's willing to spend.
And yet in other areas, they seem to be very fast.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. But whereas here we don't have a choice really. We've got obviously all the systems have to get through MEPS, and there's high requirements for high efficiency. So
absolutely.
It's interesting.
So Sandra, if our listeners want to get in touch with you guys and look at memberships and reach out to you, how do they go about that?
Well, I'm always available. They can go to the website, and which is climatecontrolnews.com.au. All the contact information's there, or they can call the office anytime in Sydney, and welcome to have a chat. Or it's obvious, I'm on Facebook, I'm on LinkedIn. I think a good way to contact me is via email, Sandra Rossi at yaffa.com.au. I'm always open to hearing tips and hearing stories, and always want the latest news, latest trends. So if you have a great story, I'd love to hear it.
Right. Yeah.
And we'll put a link to our show notes as usual, so that people can find you there as well, Sandra. So, but if that's conclude the formalities, shall we say, Brad? Are we ready to jump into keeping it cool on the hot seat?
I think we should.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so keeping it cool on the hot seat segment, Sandra. Are you ready to rock and roll?
I'm ready to go.
I'll press the buzzer.
You get into the clock, Brad.
There we go.
We're away.
Okay.
NRL or AFL, Sandra?
NRL, sorry.
Do you have a preference for a team?
Yes, I do. I'm a bit of a here am I. I'm so nervous. I can't. Tigers, Tigers, and Cronulla.
Oh, that's cool.
Okay. Beer, wine, spirits, or all three?
All three.
All three. Any favourites in there, Sandra?
I like my Sauvignon Blanc. I'm a bit of a wine drinker.
Like my wife. Okay. If you could change your name, what would it be?
Oh dear. I'd like something dramatic, like Madame Von Spectacular.
That's very creative.
If you were on a desert island with one person, who would it be, please?
Oh my goodness. Oh, do they have to be human?
No, it'd be whoever you like.
My dogs.
Oh, no rules here.
There you go. If you could be an animal, what would it be and why?
I'd love to be my dog. They're so spoiled.
Oh, yeah.
Very common.
Yeah.
If you could have one superpower, what would that be?
Oh, superpower. Oh, my goodness. Read minds.
The Force will
Although that might be a bit scary. Yeah.
Are you a toilet paper folder or scruncher?
I think I'm a folder.
You're a folder.
Yeah.
What's the creepiest
Organised.
thing you could say to someone whilst passing a stranger on the street?
The creepiest thing you can say? I'm trying to think what I would find creepy. If they tell you smell or something, that'd be awful. That's a hard one.
We'll take that.
We'll take that.
Okay.
If you're the PM, what's the first thing that you would change?
The first thing I would change, oh boy, there's so many things I'd like to change. I don't know where I'd start. Re-elect a new government. a whole new, every member of parliament, I'd change.
Righto. Is a hot dog a sandwich, yes or no?
No, it's a hot dog.
Correct.
That's right.
What's the strangest thing you've ever worn?
The strangest thing I've ever worn? Probably PVC.
Say what?
Oh,
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I'm
No
just-
comments there.
I'm just imagining
Oh,
piping.
well, it was a dress-up party. It was,
Oh, right.
It was piping then, was it?
no.
Oh, no.
Sandra, what's the least sexiest name you've ever heard?
The least sexiest? Probably something like Mary Smith.
Okay, fair enough. Your favourite swear word?
Damn.
What's your profanity?
Your favourite feature about yourself?
Oh boy, sense of humour probably.
And one thing if you could change one thing about yourself, what would that be?
Oh dear. My dandruff.
Wow, very nice.
Well, have you done more or less?
And Sandra, your porn star name, please.
Oh, hang on, that's got to be my first pet, first street.
Correct.
Bossy Victoria. Bossy Victoria.
Oh, there
There
you
you
go.
go. All right. Okay, so there we are. Thank you for that,
Okay.
Sandra. You got through those. The buzzer's just gone. So
Well done.
well done. And
Thank
Sandra,
you.
we would just like to say on behalf of Brad and myself, thank you for joining us on the show today.
Thank you for having me.
We very
It's
much
been
enjoyed
it's been
your time.
great doing it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
And we'll get, like I said, those links in the show notes for those to find you there as well. So,
And
guys,
send them to me too, so I can share them with everyone at CCN.
That would be
perfect,
great.
perfect.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank
and
you.
so, guys, thank you for joining us again on the show. Don't forget to stop by on airconditioningpodcast.com.
Yep. Subscribe.
Oh,
If you
YouTube
can.
now, we're on there too. So if you get a chance to jump on
great.
there, we'll be on there. And what else? Twitter,
Instagram,
and
LinkedIn.
Face- and LinkedIn
And
as well.
Facebook,
Yes,
yeah.
we're on there as well. So, guys, until next week,
Adios.
catch you then.
Ciao.
That's all for this episode of the Air Conditioning Podcast. Be sure to stop by at airconditioningpodcast.com to connect with us, as well as on Facebook and Twitter, and join in the conversation. Until next time, stay tuned, stay positive, and stay cool.